A little over a year ago, I created an animated series on YouTube titled Where Roots Don't Grow, an alternate universe of the very popular video game Plants vs. Zombies. Me sitting here today, I never thought that I was gonna get any form of support. And at the time when I was making Where Roots Don't Grow, I was kind of just doing it as a little bit of a fun hobby, but over time I noticed that the support was growing day by day, and before you know it, everyone really liked this series and wanted me to keep making it. However, in order for me to continue to make Where Roots Don't Grow, some things had to get cut from the story. Some things that you, the viewer, have never seen before. Some of you may recall in the very first episode of Where Roots Don't Grow, you can see Bryce checking into a motel, where the umbrella leaf at the front counter throws in the keys and says, "Have a nice day," in a very, very rude tone. Here's what it originally looked like. Now, this is the only screenshot I was able to recover from my archives, but it's still enough to change up the scene quite a bit. As you can see here, a completely different character is used for the person at the front desk. I think if I remember correctly, the reason that she was cut from the story was because we couldn't find an accurate voice actor for her, and once the team discovered that, I'm pretty sure this is the only scene that she was ever drawn in before I changed her out with the umbrella leaf. Besides that, I don't think there's any other reason she would have been cut from the story. More scrapped content of episode 1 includes some scrapped concepts and some characters who never actually made the final cut. If you recognize this guy's face, you'll probably notice him from episode 1 when Bryce got that random phone call. He was supposed to be the one calling that was going to tell Bryce that there was a war starting at the military station downtown. Speaking of Bryce, he had a way different look. He was supposed to be a vampire flower who was very, very timid and shy. Everything was the same, he still served in the army, he still was arriving late to work, but something is very interesting here. I wrote down vampire flowers become extinct in my story, and another thing states tries to hide the fact he's a vampire flower. You could tell that early on in my concepts that vampire flowers were a thing that were very, very rare. But that wouldn't explain why Chuck shows up so fucking quickly in the story. So why would I write down this concept at all? And to be honest, I don't even know the answer to it. This happened so long ago that I cannot even put down my finger as to why I would even make a character that's shy and timid for the main character of the story, along with the fact that he's trying to hide his true identity. Some of these things don't have correct answers, or any answers for that matter, so you're gonna have to roll with me here. I think it's for the best that the Bryce that we have today is a snarky, sarcastic, funny main character. The final piece of cut content in the story of episode 1 actually surrounds Chuck. Early concept drawings of Chuck show that he was a completely different character. Instead of being one of Matthew's longtime best friends, he was actually a celebrity. This entire arc for Chuck is completely gone and was never brought back up again. If this guy was or is a world-renowned celebrity of this town, I don't know why he would be sticking around a military outpost that just got attacked. The Chuck that we have today came by just to see if his friend Matthew was alright. This guy would have shown up out of nowhere for no apparent reason, and I think for that reason in particular, it was probably for the best that he was cut. For episode 2, I had a pretty level head and I knew what I was going to do for the entire episode, but that didn't excuse the fact that it still had some cut content within its files. During the very first beginning scenes of episode 2, there's a family photo in the background which originally didn't have a child in it. I added the kid into the photo so the viewers could be a bit more sad when they realized that the man in the photo was a father and a husband, but still took his own life upstairs. Canonically, this man took his life before the apocalypse even happened due to a divorce, and I thought adding the kid into the photo would have a bit more impact on the man and the viewer. Speaking of that particular scene, Vince and Matthew were supposed to be the one that found it out. Another scene that's supposed to have Matthew in it is right after Chuck gets drunk and passes out. He would tell Bryce and Vince to go look upstairs to see what they can find, and then proceed to drag Chuck onto the couch. This scene was scrapped very early in production, as you can see by the unfinished drawing. I thought the scene would be a bit too demanding to draw, and I didn't feel it was that necessary. And surprisingly, that's all the cut content for episode 2. Down the line, sometimes I got a little bit of a level head with the episodes, and sometimes I kind of just switched things up a lot. Speaking of which, Episode 3 single-handedly has the most rewrites out of every episode in Where It's Done Grow this far. A very interesting one was that Matthew was supposed to go with Bryce when they went to go search the town. It was going to be a bit of a segment that was going to help Bryce and Matthew become friends, but it was cut due to me thinking that I shouldn't be doing this early on, and I shouldn't be doing this at all as of right now. Bryce and Matthew have no drive whatsoever to even think about being friends, and I thought that doing it in episode 3 would be way too early. However, even though Matthew was supposed to be the one going with Bryce to search for the town, neither of them were going to get shot. Actually, originally, Chuck wasn't supposed to get shot at all. An unknown file that I discovered recently is titled Chuck Bite. It's simply a photo of just a bit of blood, and the file itself has not been touched ever since November of last year. If I had to guess what was going to happen, if they were searching this blover right here, Chuck was going to get bitten, and then that's how the group was going to discover how the infection really works. But, as you may know to this day, that was entirely scrapped. Why I say episode 3 had the most cut content is mainly surrounding the hunters, or the rooftop snipers in episode 3 and 4. They originally were supposed to play a huge role in Where It's Done Grow. Did you know that there's a side episode? You know those ones I post every now and again, like the Bitten one and the wizardry video? There's a side episode that has about a minute worth of content that's voice acted, animated, and finalized, but you're never gonna see it. Just kidding, here it is.
Now, where's the fun in that, man?
What do you mean?
You're just shooting targets that stand still.
Yeah, well, so what?
Everything we've been shooting recently has just been slow.
There is no challenge when it comes to shooting people. Of course, but the challenge is surviving this outbreak. And the challenge is making sure people don't kill us before we kill them.
After this video being up on my channel for about a month, I decided to get rid of it. Why, you may ask? If I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't feel that the hunters served a good role as main antagonists. Well, they did what any side antagonist would do. They would just kill one of the secondary characters, and then the main character would retaliate. But that's all they were though, a roadblock. A group of just 4 southerners with cheap guns wasn't gonna do a whole lot to a main cast of characters, and besides, if I wanted a main antagonist, I would go for a really different trope besides 4 random people that appeared out of nowhere. In its very early state, episode 3 was supposed to be a way longer episode compared to normal. Where Roots Don't Grow episodes usually last around 6 minutes, but this episode was supposed to be around 8 or 9. Originally, after Chuck got shot, that's instantly where Bryce was going to start doing a bunch of crazy stuff. The hunters were going to keep missing Bryce, but Bryce wasn't going to make any snarky comments. After landing one successful shot on one of his men, he would then run to the side of the building that they were on top of, scale up the ladder, and when he got to the top, he was going to shoot both the girl and the fucking marigold, and then the final guy, which is also the leader, would hide. There would be an AC unit on the roof that he would hide behind. Bryce would be searching around, knowing that there's a final man on the roof. Just then, when Bryce lets his guard down, the man jumps out from behind the AC unit, gets into a bit of a scuffle with Bryce, and then proceeds to tackle Bryce off the roof, resulting in both of them landing on the cars below the building, which would understandably knock both of them out. Now, it's not too far-fetched to see why I cut this out, because I know that Bryce is the main character, but there's a point in time where plot armor just becomes a plot fucking just wall of just protection that's 20 feet wide. There is no chance in hell that Bryce was gonna run out from cover, not get shot, scale up the ladder without anybody looking over the side to shoot him. Not only that, but to actually make it onto the roof without anybody catching him off guard, kill 2 people at once, and then survive getting tackled off of a 2-story building onto a set of cars. But like I said before, the entire concept was scrapped for primarily a good reason. And with all of that out of the way, let's move on to episode 4. Before the character Hayden ever came to be, there was one right before him that was quite similar, a wildflower by the name of Mitch. Basically, right after Bryce was getting attacked by the zombie, instead of Hayden being the one saving him, it was going to be Mitch. Mitch could be used sometime later on in the story, but I feel like here was a really interesting point to have a zombie and a plant actually have some sort of bond. Mitch's concept is scrapped, but he may make a return sometime in the future. And I hate to cut it short, but that's all the scrapped content that was ever in Where It Sung Grow. Right after episode 4, I kinda got a level head with everything and started writing down scripts in a way more professional manner. So for episode 5, there was no scrapped content, and if there was, I didn't catch it. Whether or not there is or is not scrapped content, there is bound to be some more somewhere down the line in later episodes. Anyways, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching this entire video and looking at all the content and concepts that were scrapped from Where It Sung Grow. And thank you all for the support on these episodes over the past year. And as always, I will see you all sometime soon.